Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I decided to film a second video while I'm having a bit more free time. If you're new to my channel, my name is Yana. Welcome. I'm one of the registered nurses here in State Queensland in Australia. I do create the nursing content as much as I can, just sharing my experience and educating you guys on anything that I come across while I'm working as a nurse. So in today's video, I want to talk about how to stay professional in front of your patients. And the things that I'm going to highlight today is something that I do and I find myself guilty doing, but I do want to become better. So I thought I will share with you guys because I want you to become better as well, better nurses, better representation of the Queensland Health if you do work in my state or in Australia in general, just like health community, you know, so we could be better faces to our patients when it comes to cares. So okay, what I've noticed that many of us do when we go into the room of the patients for a handover and we, let's say, waiting for the nurse who's going to give us a handover, and we're receiving nurses, you know, we're waiting there for her to come or for them to come. We start to discuss our like weekend and yesterday evening and whatever in front of the patients, and we do not do that intentionally. We literally like stand just somewhere in the corner of the room, you know, not necessarily near to the bedside of the patient, but we like start, oh, like, you know, like yesterday you might say like to your body nurse, oh my gosh, yesterday I had such a hectic shift, I hope today is gonna be better, you know. Or you might say like, oh, yesterday, you know, like I went with my friend and we have a couple of drinks, you know, and then, you know, the guy came to me and started talking or whatever, you know, and, you know, like girls talk, boys talk, whatever, you know, it sounds like nothing to do with the patients. It's not related to the patients. You're not talking about the patients. You're talking about your life or whatever. But remember, like, patients are listening. They have nothing else to do. They listen, you know, and the room is small, you know, and it's not really professional when they hear your stories about yesterday, where you went, what you were doing, you know, or how crazy your shift was, which actually they might be a part of it, you know. Or like we might sometimes, like us as grads, we might complain about like, oh my gosh, I couldn't like submit the module yesterday because I was so tired, you know, I had a hectic shift, I don't know how I'm gonna do it, you know. They don't need to know that, guys, okay? Let's stay professional, okay? It's really hard sometimes to forget, you know, because we're human beings, you know, and the patients are not going to judge you, but we need to remember that we representing a health line, we representing our hospital, you know, our ward in the end of the day, you know, for our patients, you know, and they are there for us to treat them, to help them, to make them to become better so they could go home, okay? So they don't want to hear your stories, where you went and how hard your shift was yesterday, you know. Patients want to see positivity. Patients want to see you being professional, you know, when you do their cares and stuff like that. So this is something that I catch myself doing quite often, you know. Then the second thing that I want to mention is, okay, when you're doing a handover, you know, then you would move to particularly to the patient side, you know, near the patient, and the patient will be part of your handover. You will include them in a handover, so which means they will be listening everything you tell the other nurses about them, and then you will give them opportunities so they could ask questions or add anything that maybe they disagree with what you said, or maybe they want to just add it on to what you haven't said. Okay, so when you're going through their information in a handover or whatever, you know, you would highlight their diagnosis, why they are here, you know, the reason for them to stay in your ward, and then you would go through the history, and you might mention something that is important from the history to the nurse that is receiving that patient. So sometimes I find it more better and easier if you don't mention, if someone has, like, for example, any mental disorders like schizophrenia, bipolar, you know, dementia is fine, you know, just dementia in general, you know, but you know, like, or aggressive behavior, you know, or agitation or something like that, you know, it's better if you don't mention it in front of the patient, you know, because it might trigger them, and it's not really pleasant when you're talking about their bipolar disorder, for example, or schizophrenia or whatever, or delirium, you know, things like that, you know. So to me, sometimes, not sometimes, most of the time, you know, if one of my patients have this in their background history, I just say to the nurse, the history is there for you guys to read, so they quickly can go through it, you know, and just see that, okay, cool, they will understand, but I don't have to verbally say it. And also, like, while you're doing the handover on this patient, the one beside them, because as I said, the room is small and usually it's like 4 people in a room or 2 by 2, they can hear everything, okay? So some things like that I do not mention verbally, okay? I give the opportunity to the nurse to just look in her handover, because it's all printed there, and just read it, you know, quietly. Okay, then the other thing that I don't want to mention during the handover, you know, if the patient was misbehaving on my shift or the night before, or being aggressive to the nurse, I mean, like, of course the other patients would see that happening because they're all in a room, you know, but you don't want to make that patient feel bad, because some people have sundowns, which is associated to dementia itself, like under big umbrella of dementia. So they will have behaviors and agitation and might become aggressive and more delirious, you know, when the evening starts and through the night. That's why we call it sundowns, you know, when the sun sets. Some people might be agitated or delirious because they have UTI that wasn't diagnosed yet, you know, whatever, you know, or they might get agitated because they have a sudden onset of pain, you know. So the next day they are a normal person again, okay, and they might not even remember what happened yesterday. But if you're going to bring it up in front of them and say like, oh, Mr. Smith yesterday was quite aggressive to the nurse, you know, he was climbing out of bed, you know, and just throw a cup of water on the floor, like, you don't want to talk about it in front of him the next morning, because first of all, he might not remember what happened yesterday, and secondly, it's just bringing up again those memories, if he would remember, and a bit of more agitation, and it's like, oh my god, that was me yesterday, and he might feel embarrassed, you know. So things like that, I usually like to say that I will give you a little bit more information later, or I just like say like I will add on later. And then what you do when you finish the whole room handover, you might come out of the room and just quietly, when the patients don't hear, you might say that to the nurse that, hey, Mr. Smith yesterday was a little bit aggressive, you know, we gave him PRN something and then he settled, you know. You can say like he was in a pain, you know, or he had a sundown, you know, and he just suddenly started to behave a little bit like he was verbally, like, let's say verbally abusive to the nurses. Or you might say like, just be careful when you turn him on a bed during his cares, because he might maybe swing his arms or whatever. Just make sure to do a ward call, so the ward you could come and have a male with you, you know, to do the turn to him, and you just clean the patient from the back or whatever, you know. But I find it better not to mention it in front of the patient, just to make him feel, as I said, more secure, less agitated, and less embarrassed, so everyone else won't know this, even if they saw it yesterday, you know. It's just like simple things like that, but you stay professional and you're showing more respect to your patient, and you can still provide this information to upcoming shift, you know, but just doing it on a side when he doesn't or she doesn't hear it. Also sometimes, like, I find it as well, if someone came to us, let's say with GI bleed or consistent pain or headaches, migraines or whatever, and then upon diagnosis we discover that the person has cancer, for example, and it metastasized, and the person is about to die soon, maybe it's stage 1, stage 2, whatever. No, stage 1 it wouldn't be metastasized yet, but it's like stage 3, 4, and it was just found out, let's say yesterday, upon biopsy or MRI or CT scan or whatever, you know. It's still a very sensitive subject to that patient, so they're still in the process of processing this information, the new lifestyle that they're gonna have, and that now it has a limit. Obviously, maybe there is no treatment option if it's a later stage and they have like limited time to live, and now it's gonna be all about comfort living rather than like treating it, because it can't be treated anymore. So it can be a bit sensitive to them, so I would not emphasize verbally that, oh, yesterday we found out that Mr. Smith was diagnosed with cancer, you know. I will just like point it out in a handover sheet that this is the recent assessment and that's the outcomes, so the nurses can like quickly go with their eyes through the information and just keep it quiet. Okay, as I said, it might be just sensitive if the person just found this out, and this happened so many times on my ward when someone comes with particular symptom and then they found out that they actually have a certain type of cancer. Okay, unfortunately this happens often, you know, and us as nurses, we have to comfort our patients, because the doctors will deliver this information to them that this is the new diagnosis, but then us nurses, we have to deal for hours and hours and days with this patient, you know, comfort them, reassure them, making sure that we don't push much on this sensitive subject, you know, and things like that. So yeah, we have to be a bit more like compassionate about it, you know, when we talk about something like that. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. This is what I wanted to bring up. This is something that I faced many times during my practice, and I thought it will be useful for you guys to know this as well. Look, we are learning every day. We're trying to be a best version of us when we represent nursing team in general, and I think whether you work in a nursing field or any other type of business, you always want to be better, right? I mean, like in the best scenario, you know, most of us want to be better. So every time that I see something that is not right, you know, I want to fix it. I want to see what can be done better, you know, to do it in a better way. And this is why I wanted to talk to you about it in this video, you know, and brought up things that I've noticed by myself, you know, and how I can change it and how I can find solutions. You know, do not wait that someone will find solution for you. The more you work as a nurse, the more you will find mistakes, you will find wrong things you or others do, you know. Not always it will be someone who will come and tell you, do not do it this way, you know, this is the right way. You know, you need to figure out things by yourself sometimes, you know. And if you found the solution and you think that, okay, this is wrong but this is right, I'm gonna do the right thing, good on you. You know, good on you. Just do it by yourself. Do not wait that someone will come and teach you, okay? Because this is not always the case. Yes, we do have NAMs, we have facilitators, coordinators who always come and try to bring new updates, you know, like the handover video that I've created last week for you guys with the current updates in Queensland Health, how they want us to do the handover, you know, but not always someone will be teaching you, you know. Just try to be always a better version of yourself, try to be a better nurse, you know, and how you can be more professional when it comes to cares that you provide to your patients. So yeah, I hope this video was helpful for you guys. If you want to add on something, leave it in the comment section below. If you want to ask me a question, also feel free to leave it in the section below in your comments, and I will read it and respond to it. And I will see you in my next video. See you then. Bye.